Yes, and now our session, our class, our study, our lesson is being recorded. Okay, so what is meant by passive voice? Do you have any idea? If you have any idea about what is meant by passive voice, you can mention it in the chat section. Do you know where's the meaning of passive voice? Where's the difference between the passive and active voice? All of you are silent. It's okay. So in English, we have what is meant by, what we call the passive voice and the active voice. Don't forget to turn off your cameras and microphones, okay? So, before speaking about the passive voice, we should know something about the active voice. When we say the active voice, it means that we are speaking about the regular sentences in English, which begins by subject and after that the verb, and it ends with an object, the complement, and which you should have an object in the sentence sometimes. So concerning the passive voice is used to show interest in the person or object that experiences an action rather than the person or object that performs the action. In other words, the most important thing or person becomes the subject of the sentence. When you say, I ate lunch, here this is a sentence in the active voice. And when we say it is an active voice, it means that the focus is on the subject. That is I ate the lunch. But when we turn it into the passive voice, the focus shifts from the original subject of the sentence to the object sentence. In the sentence, the object is lunch. So the passive voice of the sentence is the lunch is eaten. So a passive construction occurs when you make the object of an action. I have a problem with my connection. I don't know if you're still listening to me. Okay. Passive construction, we said, occurs when you make the object of an action into the subject of a sentence. That is, for example, whoever or whatever is performing the action is not the grammatical subject of the sentence. Now, for example, take a look at this passive rephrasing of a familiar joke. Now, I don't know if you have read or heard this joke before, but this is a rephrasing of it. I'm going to write it. Why was the road crossed by a chicken? Yes, now you're watching the word version. Okay. You see it clearly now, right? So take a look at this passive rephrasing of the joke, which is a familiar joke. If you have any experience with English, you should have read it before or heard before. So this is a question, but it is in the passive voice. Why was the road crossed by the chicken? Who is doing the action in this sentence? Who is the doer of the action in this sentence? I mean, there is an action, which is crossing the road, right? So who is the doer of the action? The chicken, right? So the chicken is, yes, the chicken is, a chicken is the one doing the action in this sentence or in this question. But the chicken is not the spot where you would expect, I mean, the grammatical subject to be, right? So instead, the road is a grammatical is the grammatical subject, right? Um, so the familiar phrasing, why the chicken across the road, right? This is the original one. So if you want to write it in the active voice, you should have said, why did the chicken cross the road, right? So this one is the passive one, the passive voice, right? But this one is in the active voice. Some of you cannot hear me, unfortunately. Now again, if you can hear me, please mention this in the chat section. For those who can hear me, please mention this in the chat section. For those who cannot hear me, please make sure to raise the volume of your phones or anything that are using, of your computer, laptops. If you're using a mobile phone, a cell phone, please make sure to raise the volume of the media, right? Try to make it. Okay. Now you can listen to me. Can you hear me? Now you're listening to me from two sources. Okay. Now you should have heard me, right? I cannot do anything more than that. Okay, now, as we said, the first one,
The first question is in the passive voice,
the second one
while
in the
one
active
is
voice, right? Which is
active voice, right? We
use.
usually use.
No, this is the best thing that I can do. If you cannot hear me well, it's okay. You can listen to the recorded video, but please stay here, okay? Okay, most of you can hear me well. So, this one, concerning this one, the second one we said it's in the active voice. So in here, the familiar phrasing, this one, I mean this sentence, this question, puts the actor in the subject position, the position of doing something, right? The chicken, which is the actor, right? The doer, which crosses the road. And here the road is the object. So, but here the status is different here. It's in the opposite of the second one. Okay, so we use active verbs to represent that doing, whether it be crossing roads, proposing ideas, making arguments, or invading houses, anything like that. Okay, so once you know what to look for, passive constructions are easy to spot. Look for a form of to be, like this is now we are speaking about how to form passive voice. Which is now is, are, am, was, were, and which is followed by a past participle. And you know that the past participle is a form of the verb that typically, but not always, end in ed. Some exceptions are to the ed rule are words like paid and driven. You know this. So we have the active voice, which is expressed by the regular sentence, like, for example, if you look at your books, if you look at page 55, which is a revision, you see this sentence. If we want to turn it into the active voice original sentence was Macaroni invented the radio, in which the sentence formula is composed of the subject plus verb plus complement. And we have the passive voice, in which here we have the passive voice in which the original object becomes the subject. So we have radio was invented by Macaroni, right? So why and when we use the passive voice? Sometimes we use the passive voice because we don't know or we do not want to express who performed the action, right? So now, how to form it? The passive voice is composed of two elements. I mean, the appropriate form of the verb to be plus the past participle. Like we have many sentences, but now let's look at this a quick explanation of the active voice. Now we are active voice. The subject of a sentence is the person or thing we talk about. But when the subject does something, we use the active voice. Right? Like this sentence, this is in the active voice. Subject, people sell good luck flowers, right? We have the subject, this is the verb, active verb, and this is the complement, which is the object. Now, if we want to make it a passive, it is passive voice. It is used when the subject is not the doer of the action. We put the receiver of an action as the subject. I mean, we change the order of the sentence. Like, for example, here, we put the doer of an action as the object. Like, good luck flowers are sold by people. So do not forget to use the by preposition before after the object which has become the subject, and after that we have the be form plus the past participle. After that you should make or should put the preposition by, and after that you should mention the original subject of the sentence. So this is how to form a sentence of passive voice. Is formed verb to be plus past participle. These are sentences like in an irregular sentence, we use the verb collect, but in a passive sentence, we make it into past participle form, and after and before it, we should put the form that are the appropriate form of the verb to be. Right? I will send you all these materials. Now let us practice. The people eat mooncakes at mid-autumn. How to make it in the passive voice? Mooncakes are eaten by people. So let's get back to the book because we're running out of time and it has some grammatical rules. So in the present passive, I mean, when you have a sentence in the present tense and you want to turn it into the passive voice, you should put is and are. You should mention the subject before. Before everything, you should put the subject, which is the object of the original sentence, and you should after that put is or are according to the subject of the sentence, and after that you should put the past participle, right, form of the verb, and after that you should, if you want to mention the uh, object which was the subject of the original sentence, you should use the by preposition, and after that you should make the put the object. Like here, the article is written in Cairo. It is edited in Baghdad. We will re-study it again, inshallah. Okay. Now this is just an introduction to the passive voice. If the sentence is a past tense, you should use the was where after that we should put the past participle. Now we will leave this section about can to another lesson. So this is quickly how to use and how to form a sentence in the past participle. And I have something to show. I want to show you. It is so clear and it makes it very clear for you. Look, remember in the active voice you have subject plus verb plus complement, right? In the passive voice you reverse elements 1 and 3, right? You reverse these two. Like new subject, the complement becomes, or the object becomes the new subject, and after that we have verb be, which in the present tense it becomes either are or is according to the subject, or in the past tense it becomes either was or were according to the subject, of course. And after that you should mention the past participle form of the original verb, and you should put the by preposition, and after that the new complement, which was the subject of the first sentence. Like here are some examples. Like father buys bread. We change order, it becomes bread is bought by father. Here we have plural subject, mothers make meals. The meals are made by mothers, right? And here past simple, the policeman arrested the thief. We change the order, it becomes the thief was arrested by the policeman. Sister wrote letters. Letters were written by sister. So in the passive voice, the focus is on the original object of the original active sentence, right? And I will send you this worksheet. I want you to correct sentences in these exercise, right? And I will send you the assignment. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. So I will give you some sentences. You should change them from the active to the passive voice. So as a quick recap in our everyday goings on, we usually use active sentences. An example of this, like as I said, I eat lunch. But in this sentence, I mean, in the active voice sentence of I eat lunch, in this sentence, the focus or the importance is on the subject I, right? And the subject I with the sentence I eat lunch. So here I want to make it clear that it is me who did the action when I say I eat lunch. And lunch is the sentence is an object. But when we want to have a passive sentence, we don't want to tell who did the action. What's important is the action was done, right? So to make a sentence passive, we change the verb position, the object position, and we are gonna eliminate or delete the subject, or we can mention it, but after the by preposition. So this is how we do it. We start with the object, and after that the verb to be according to the tense of this original sentence, and after that we mention the past participle form of the verb. And in this like I eat lunch, it becomes lunch is eaten. So in this sentence, in the passive voice sentence, we don't know and we don't care about who ate the lunch. What is important is that the lunch was eaten. So to form the passive voice, we make the object again as the subject of the sentence, and after that we put the to be verb and we use the past participle. And that's it for today. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. We only have 2 minutes. Thank you for joining the lesson. For those who could not hear me, I hope that next time, inshallah, you can. I will send you your homeworks. Please, you send me your homeworks to my Telegram privately, or you can send me your homeworks to my email. I will send you the email again. And if you have any question, you can mention it. You can ask me privately, and I will try to answer your questions. I know it's a quick lesson. You can listen to it after I upload it to the YouTube channel, and make sure that all of these things we will, inshallah, restudy it when everything comes back to the normal status. And thank you for joining the lesson. Have a good day.